to Nigeria's first business radio, Impact Business Radio IBR 92.5 FM. That's what we call in a class, in a world of our own, and making things happen in every ramification. Because why? We mean business. Welcome to Sunshine this morning, and here we go. It's a beautiful day to behold. I have the very delectable, I'm taking you out today. Because why? It's World Poetry Day yesterday. I wanted to go and see a couple of folk music, dance, traditional folk things. Let's see what it looks like. Do you
Is
like?
there food there?
Where?
There.
Are we talking about food or we're talking about existence?
All right. So you're welcome to the Fires and Shine right here on Impact Business Radio IBR 92.5 FM. And yes, yesterday was a World Poetry Day. World Poetry Day is usually celebrated on March the 21st. It was declared by UNESCO, and the purpose of the day is to promote the reading, writing, publishing, and teaching of poetry throughout the world. And then UNESCO declared the session as to say, to give fresh recognition and impetus to national, regional, and international poetry movement. And so that's why we're here this morning on Rise and Shine to discuss poetry. What exactly is poetry? Do we still write poems? Is it still, studied in school? Do we still have, students
Did
that
you get anybody to write poems for you while they were trying to ask you out and stuff like that? I did. I know I did text messages, poems, and stuff.
I
Yeah.
didn't.
You didn't?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God.
I'm a modern day baby.
Are you talking? All right, that's what we will be looking at today. The world of poetry. As the world celebrates poetry, is it still relevant in our curriculum in our different schools? Those who loves to write poems, students, do you feel comfortable with poems, poetry? Do you still sit back and look at it that once you hear that it's literature time, you know that, wow, the excitement is there. But is this still there today? Is this still relevant? Is this still something that you still enjoy to do in your daily basis?
And so, for this reason, this morning we have people in the studio, very brilliant and wonderful people in the studio with us who are going to discuss this issue with us and this topic. First of all, we have Mr. Collins Oyedokun. He's a literature teacher. You're welcome,
sir. Metro Pre-Varsity. Okay, good morning, Mr. Collins.
Good morning.
Thank you for being there.
And of course, we have Ovokpade Mary. And we have Tani Obafemi. They are also literature students. Yes, and so you're welcome to the studio.
Mary, how are you?
I'm good.
And Femi Obafemi. Anytime I know I can't forget that name because of Obafemi Martins.
Oh, please.
Now, we have literature students in the house this morning and a veteran literature teacher as well, and in person of Mr. Collins Oyedokun of the Metro City Pre-Varsity right here in the city. All right, gentlemen, you're most welcome to Rise and Shine on Impact Business Radio, IBR 92.5 FM. All right, live with us, joining us all the way from Lagos is no other person but a veteran, a distinguished poet and writer, Jumoke Beresimo. I just hope I got that name correctly.
That's it.
Oh, beautiful. It's nice to have you, madam. How are you?
I'm very fine this morning.
Great. Now, let's talk about poetry and what it looks like in the world today. Will you say it is still relevant in our daily, in the curriculum of activities for students?
And in the society
In the
as
society as well?
Yeah, I think poetry is very relevant. It's actually very important. And it's something that should actually that should actually be a very important part of the syllabus, because there's a quote that once said that a society without, a civilization without poetry is a moribund civilization. I think that should be an American quote, and because of my conversation, I would remember it.
Okay.
And that explains to you that it is quite essential, because poetry is about observation and it's about deep thinking. It's about interest. It's actually its essence, really. So teaching young people poetry helps them to view things outside their usual thinking, to appreciate things even more, because poetry is essentially about beauty. And our beauty itself becomes something that has this diverse meaning to the lover or someone to the lover of poetry, or to someone who actually finds interest in poetry. And poetry, again, being Nigerians and being Nigerian as a collective now, and individually as our different ethnic groups, Yoruba, Efi, people, we have poetry. Our language is poetic. Our even our nuances, things that actually take over us, actually that give us the essence of being cultural, are really deeply entrenched in poetry. So really, I think it's important to teach young people poetry.
Okay. Well, first, because I'll have to hold you down because I have a couple of students in the house this morning, and you're going to be listening to them to what they feel about poetry as well, right? Okay. I have Femi and Mary
Femi, yeah.
here with us this morning. Femi and Mary, ladies first. Do you like poetry?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because it's like an instrument used to portray one's feelings, one's emotion.
Right.
So,
Wow.
So you're able to portray your emotions and your feelings via
Yeah.
poetry.
yeah.
Wow. That has actually taken me off balance. Femi, what does poetry mean to you?
Like she said, and like a renowned poet said, William Wordsworth, he said that poetry is an embodiment of an overflow of emotion. So it's a concise record of your emotions in an outburst that you just contain in words. So,
Wow. It's still relevant.
Yes.
Seriously, because looking at it, the way they have just, in a simple
Picture
terms,
it.
they just analyzed it.
Painted
Okay. Now, let's go to a lecturer, Mr. Collins Oyedokun. Sir, in your days, not too far away, but let's look at it compared with what the
Looking back at
wonderful
those
young
days.
ones we have now. How would you rate poetry of then and now?
Well, thank you very much. There's not a real difference between poetry then and now. The only difference we have nowadays is that students are no longer as interested as we were during our own time. And this is partly responsible for the fact that people orientation is changing. We are moving away from a culture of intellectualism to a culture of materialism, where people are now more concerned about the daily hustle and bustle, all about people thinking about what they are going to get for themselves, their family, and so we are having a kind of paradigm shift from art for art's sake. And now people are thinking more of what they can get. And as our collective consciousness is changing, so also is the orientation towards poetry.
Mr. Collins, now this person just said that people in the education environment tend to run away from poetry. What do you have to say about this?
Well, because poetry is a special genre, it's unlike the other two genres of literature. So if you don't really like poetry or writing poems, definitely the tendency is for you to run away from it, because poetry actually requires a more consistent approach to it. Like I normally say, poetry is one of the most deliberate art form. There's nothing you see in poetry that is extraneous. It is there deliberately, and it takes deep thinking. It takes consistent effort. It takes, doggedness, stick-to-itiveness for you to write poetry. So it really demands a great effort. So that's why people don't like poetry, so to speak.
Are we saying that people are lazy, or just the lazy ones will run away from such? We all like simple, easy made
You
money.
don't want to think.
Yeah, that's actually
Don't
what
want
I'm trying to say.
Yes, they don't want to think.
People don't want
Mm.
to think, because thinking is actually the most difficult thing you have to do in life.
Mm.
I'm not talking about you entertaining thoughts.
Mm.
You know, thoughts keep flitting into your mind.
Thinking from within.
You can entertain a thousand or more thoughts within an hour.
Mm.
But when it comes to a kind of concentrated, focused thinking, then that's a different ballgame.
Now, let me ask Mary, what aspect of poetry gives you that inspiration on your own?
Romantic poems.
Wow, come again?
Romantic poems.
Really?
Yes.
What's that all
What
about?
what do you like about romantic poems?
It's all about nature, appreciation of nature. It speaks widely of the things God made, the trees, the mountains, everything, the natural things.
Femi?
3 categories actually.
Right.
Metaphysical, the romantic, and the classical.
Wow, 3-1.
That's classical. I'm actually speaking about the Victorian era.
Okay.
Type the likes of William Shakespeare.
Mm.
The rest.
Okay, so you like such poems?
Wow. Now, let me come back to because I really with the adults, yes, on one side, but the growing up adults gradually, it's not really because I know when in the early 90s, being in school, yes, it was always an interesting thing. Going by the likes of Professor Wale Soyinka, Chima Chube, yes, we have that thing. But once in a while like this, when I have the opportunity of meeting young chaps like you guys are actually really surprising me, because I actually felt I like it to an extent, but you guys have a passion. You have the categories. I'm so impressed. But if you had your way, what would you say? Would you say poetry should be a compulsory subject in the curriculum of students in schools?
It already is. It already is, and if I had my way, it would be.
It is for art students. When
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
talking of in general, let's say science, commercial, arts, everybody, would you say it should be made compulsory, just like English language?
For the sake that it accelerates critical thinking, it should.
All right, Mary, what do you think about it?
I actually don't agree with that fact, because
Why?
we have different interests. We don't have the same interest in one thing. People may like poetry, people may like other science subjects, but I think it is better said than done that we should just leave it the way it is. The way arts go for poetry and science go for other science subjects.
All right, okay. So it should be made just for art students.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, if you're just joining us, you're still on to Impact Business Radio, and we are looking at the word poetry. Poetry as a means of excitement, talk, to analyze, to share thoughts. But in the world today, is this still something that is so relevant in the lives, in the minds of people? And just as the lads in the studio have actually said, that it's something that makes you think. And do we think as humans? And Mr. Collins, a lecturer, has rightly said that most people don't always want to think. They find it difficult. You're still on to Impact Business Radio, IBR 92.55 FM.
Yes, and the program is still Rise and Shine, where we get to discuss topical issues. Now, yesterday, March 21st, was World Poetry Day. I know it's a day meant to encourage the return of oral tradition of poetry recitals, to promote the teaching of poetry, to restore a dialogue between poetry and other arts such as theater, dance, music, and also to support small publishers and create an attractive image of poetry in the media, so that it won't be that poetry is an outdated form of art, but one which enables society as a whole to regain and assert its identity. Now, in the studio with us, we have Mr. Collins Oyedokum, who is a literature teacher, and we also have 2 wonderful literature students. We have Olopade Mere and Tani Obafemi. We've been discussing poetry together. Now, back to you. You just heard that wonderful piece from Jumi Fola Alade. What do you have to say about it, Femi?
That was a rather fantastic piece. It had rhyme, rhythm, and meaning, unlike the majority of secular things that we have now. just for the sake of entertainment only, not for the sake of knowledge or critical thinking.
So this one add meaning. Mary, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I agree with my friend here, Femi. Has meaning. Like I said, it's you could see that the person that sang that recited the song, that sang the song, like she had outburst of emotions in the
Emotions, yeah.
song. You could see.
All right, Mr. Oyedoko, what would you have to say about that?
Well, they actually have said it. It's as I said earlier on, it's a deliberate thing, and it has a situation where you know what you are saying and you know what you want to say and you know how to say it. You know, it is deliberate, it is deep, and it has message for our country at this time. Look at the way the singer actually packaged the whole thing, the rhythm, the tempo, and of course the words. They are significant and they have meaning.
Now, if I will ask you, Mr. Collins, will you say poetry is dead or it's just lying low?
Poetry can never die. Literature is defined as a fictional representation of life. And as long as we have human beings, here, poetry can never die. We are not talking of poetry, reduced to the page. The origin of poetry is actually through the oral tradition, and people pass things along, orally, first and foremost, before, they are distilled into the written form. So poetry can never die. Of course, it is having problem presently because of the economic situation of our country, or maybe I would say economic situation of the world. But then it can never die. It can never go to total extinction.
All right, now let's look at the advent of technology. Would you say technology has helped to improve poetry, or it has actually helped to reduce, poetry in the society?
Well, technology has its, merits and its demerits. And one of the demerits of technology is the fact that it is taking people away from, engaging in intellectual pursuits. People are now more perfunctory about things. We no longer want to do things the way things are supposed to be done. We rely heavily on, these technological aids. And so it is actually affecting the way we, approach things.
Now, because I look at the world of mobile phones, the technological aspect that we're talking about, everybody, most especially the ladies, you can sit down and even while walking, ping
It's
and
not just ladies, it's everybody.
so
Men,
it's common. I found out that most of ladies, at times I see them on the road
Those are the
and they'll
ones
be
you see.
laughing.
It
Modele,
happens
you are
with
part of
guys
them.
too. It happens. My point is that it's not just ladies.
Taking selfies.
Selfie. You see. All right. Now let's look at it properly. Poetry. It's not as recognized as mathematics, the English language, because when you find out that competitions that big corporate bodies they put together, it's not really there. Why is this also? Is this still an aspect whereby because it's not totally recognized?
No, I disagree with you on that. It is not as if it is not properly recognized. The only problem is we are putting emphasis on the wrong thing. In our country, people are more, superficial, so to speak. I will explain. The kind of, you know about other competitions, like Big Brother Africa, Gold Ultimate. You know the kind of award, the kind of prizes they attach to these competitions.
Is that not why it is affecting poetry when
That
they are not putting?
That is exactly what I'm saying. That the emphasis is on the wrong thing. We are focusing more on the superficialities. Things that are meant to develop the human mind. We are not focusing on.
Femi, let me come to you now. Amongst the great poets that we have, which of them would you say stands out to you?
Shakespeare.
Sorry?
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
William Shakespeare.
Wow. One quote from William Shakespeare.
Be true to yourself, and as the day runs by, you'll be true to everyone else.
Mary, which of them?
Queen Elizabeth I.
Wow, that madam. I know why I said that, madam, because the UK, everybody, the London, everybody wants to run to now. She took her time to model this play, and then Modele wants to run there. Now, let's come back to some of the famous Nigerian poets that we have, and the likes of. First of all, I like Professor Wole Soyinka a lot.
Yeah.
He's someone that stands out. I sit back and read lots of his books, and it's become a great inspiration to me.
Now, aside people like Wole Soyinka, we also have people like Clark John Pepper. Those are great Nigerian poets. We have Niyi Oshundare. These are people that have written poems that actually made sense and made meaning. We have people like Chinua Achebe. We have Mabel Shegun, Ben Okri, and so many people like that. And
there's
begin
this
to wonder-
particular man, Jimmy Sholanke. I look at his songs, look at him, but he's not recognized. If there's a concert, Jimmy Sholanke and my other friends, the Wheezies, the Davido, the crowd will know where it will surely go. What could be done to reorientate people concerning this? These are more intellectual things, things that you can drive and derive experience and thoughts that can help your motivation. But we'll prefer to do Shakiti Bobo and stuff. How can we get out of this? Because I feel it's a mess.
Well, what I can say pertaining to that is that society needs a kind of reorientation. We have to put a focus on our values. Values like integrity, values like painstakingness. These are things that will build our society instead of all this material-oriented, thinking. Like you said, people are no longer interested in what will engage their, reason. We will rather go for things that have purely entertainment value. And just like in literature, we say, you don't learn anything in comedy. In comedy, you are just there to laugh, nothing else. It is in tragedy that you learn. You feel the catharsis, you understand? So that is why a concert by a Jimmy Sholanke will not be well attended like those on the other side. So it's a problem of the society, which I think the planners of our educational curriculum should start to think or do something about.
Yeah, I would say that we should also have more competitions. Now, you find out that like a singing competition attracts so many millions of naira, and we have youths running there. But we have poetry competitions that, okay, you just have maybe just an award or something.
That is in our society. Overseas, there are, series of poetry competitions. And these competitions are well, rewarded. We have quite a number on the internet that if you're one of those who want to take part, you easily can get into it.
Now,
So,
Femi and Mary, poetry to you, would you say you want to be a poet and put together great stories, things for the future? Mary?
Okay, I'll be very, very frank, like really frank. Like in this age now, people don't see being a poet as a noble profession. Everyone wants to become a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer. They don't see poetry as a very noble profession. And to me, I'll be really frank. I will not want to be a poet.
You will not want
But I
to...
like poetry, but I wouldn't want to be a poet.
Femi?
I wouldn't mind, but it cannot be alone in our society. The way it is structured, you have to back it up with something. You could be a lawyer who writes poems, but you cannot be a poet. Because by the time they ask you, oh, what do you do? I'm a poet. They'll be like, sorry, come again or something. It doesn't sound structured.
Mr. Colin, you can see what we're talking about.
I would disagree with them because I know people who exist by being poets. They are first and foremost poets. And all their lives, they have been poets. You understand? It is not true. It's a misnomer for them to think that as a poet, you cannot exist. It's just that in our society, things have changed. We are more material oriented now. People want to become whatever they want to be for the money. And as I said earlier on, the era of art for art's sake, has gone.
What would you say the government, they've closed their eyes towards this section of the society? That would be probably one of the things that's affecting this type of section. The poetry, literature, it's not really there. What would you advise the government to do in terms of this?
Well, I would rather advise the government to make literature in English a compulsory subject for all students, irrespective of whether you are going to end up as a scientist, a lawyer, a doctor, engineer, or whatever. The fact is this: you have to develop minds, and it is only through reading that you can develop minds. You understand?
Yes, please.
And what you learn in literature is actually the love to read. As a literature student, I tell my students, you cannot afford to be lazy when it comes to reading. Reading must come to you as second nature. You just must love it.
Reading must come to you as second nature. Does it come to you, Femi?
It comes to me as a necessity.
As a necessity today. Mr. Collins wants to know. Now, Mary, how does reading come to you?
I will go with Femi. It's actually a necessity.
As a necessity
You have
today.
to.
As a necessity.
Because you have to.
I guess you
I-
know what they mean. A mean to an end. The moment,
you
and
want
that
to
is the
pass.
problem we have in
You
our
read to
country
pass.
today. Yeah, students are just reading to pass. They are not reading for internalization of knowledge or ideas. They are just there. Okay, the moment I read and I pass the exam, I forget about it. They have forgotten that.
Is that true, Femi?
Not all the time.
Don't be
But,
scared.
no,
You're on radio.
majority-
You guys can go and trash that out
majority
later.
Majority of your reading
Yes.
is as a matter of necessity. But that doesn't mean that the knowledge that you have gained has escaped you.
Mary.
There are some books that by the time you read
Same.
them, you get to love them. You read it over and over again because you are internalizing, you are going back in time. Books from the 15th, 16th century, you are going back in time, you are picturing, your imagery is going wild and everything. But majority of it is, I have to do it. Not because this book is so attractive, let me start reading it. There
So
are
the
many
Shakespeare
pages
you
in that
said you
stuff.
like and everything, you read Shakespeare because...
I was about asking
Okay,
you.
that would be for the love of it actually. Going back in time and picturing it.
Yes, if you're just joining us, the program is still Rise and Shine on Impact Business Radio, IBR 92.5 FM. And we're talking about poetry. Yesterday, the March 21st, was the World Poetry Day. And so we've been talking about poetry. Is it still relevant in society today? But, gradually we are coming to the end of the program. But just before we go, I'd like to read some famous and some very interesting quotes I got from famous poets. Now, there's this one by Chinua Achebe that says, "When suffering knocks at your door and you say there is no seat for him, it tells you not to worry because he has brought his own stool." That's coming from Chinua Achebe. Then our very own Wole Soyinka says, "The greatest threat to freedom is the absence of criticism." And he also said, "Books and all forms of writing are feral to those who wish to suppress the truth."
Now, Femi, before we go, final words. How will you want to see poetry in the next 50 years?
Where I want to say it is actually very different from where it will be, if I must say.
All right.
why I want to say it is in a position of high esteem where people regard it as an essential part of intellectual activities. But taking us back to around the 20th century, that was the 90s and everything, the development of rap music was actually what caused the dwindling in the importance of poetry, because it was like poetry. It had the emotions a bit, had the rhyming scheme and the tone and everything. So like straight out of Compton, that group and everything, they started developing it little by little. And now we have Meek Mill taking over Shakespeare. And Drake is highly regarded more than Milton and everything. So that kind of journey, except if you just take a gun and shoot rap music out of people's ears, poetry might still be at points that it is. But if it is made an essential subject and of important regard, we could be seeing a positive future in the next 50 years.
Mary?
No.
Okay, I believe that in the next 50 years, like poets and rappers, singers should like be working hand in hand together, like in releasing songs. I think it would be actually more conducive because you get rhymes. Like, for example, if a poet writes, the person can sing the song, and then you understand it, you feel the emotion and everything. So I think it's better that way to have them together.
Mr. Collins?
In the next 50 years, I want poetry to be accorded its pride of place because it is highly essential for life.
Wow. We'd like to say big thank you to you all for coming. Femi, Mary, Mr. Collins, and we appreciate you. And please, what you can do to make poetry live on that platform you think it should be, please do. Right?
Alright, and so we have come to the end of Rise and Shine this morning, right here on Impact Business Radio, IBR 92.5 FM. We'd like to say a very big thank you to you for staying tuned to the station. So make sure you stay tuned to Impact Business Radio, IBR 92.5 FM. My name is Omodele Tunde.
My name is Tunde. Thank you, Eniola Olaoye, to all the engineers that are everybody that we work with. God bless you all.